The Mummy movie exposed. Why are the villains always dark-skinned? They say history is written by the victors, but in Hollywood, it's rewritten by screenwriters. Why are the villains in ancient stories always dark-skinned, while the so-called heroes are white? The Mummy movie exposed. What you're about to hear will change how you see every ancient film you've ever watched. Hit that like button, subscribe for more truth bombs, and let's dive in. Let's start with a question. What do you imagine when someone says ancient Egypt? Pyramids, pharaohs, golden tombs, maybe even mummies wrapped in linen. But if you close your eyes and picture the people, chances are you're not seeing faces that reflect the true African roots of Egypt, and Hollywood knows that. When the Mummy movie hit screens in 1999, later sequels followed. It gave us something visually stunning, packed with action, humor, and special effects. But there was something deeply wrong hiding under the surface. Every hero was white, and almost every threat, every cursed soul, priest, warrior, or monster was dark-skinned or ethnically ambiguous. Imhotep, the high priest turned mummy monster, is shown as a power-hungry, curse-slinging villain. Meanwhile, Rick O'Connell, a white American soldier of fortune, becomes the brave savior of Egypt. The formula was clear. Dark is danger, white is rescue. But here's the historical slap in the face. Egypt is in Africa. Ancient Egyptians were people of color. They weren't the villains. They were scholars, architects, doctors, astronomers, kings and queens with unmatched knowledge. Hollywood took that heritage and turned it into a horror show. So the question arises, was this just entertainment, or was it a message? Stay with us. Hollywood isn't just about storytelling. It's about narrative control. From early films like The Ten Commandments to modern franchises like The Mummy, a pattern becomes clear. White people enter exotic lands, defeat dark-skinned threats, and come out as heroes. But here's the real kicker. Those exotic lands were already someone's home. In The Mummy, Rick O'Connell and Evelyn stumble into Egypt like tourists who happen to be better at saving Egypt than the Egyptians themselves. The native characters, often superstitious, violent, or silent. The one who tries to protect the sacred tomb, he's shown as dangerous. The priests who defend the temple, cursed, the guardians, mysterious and threatening. Now imagine flipping that script. Imagine a film where a black archaeologist discovers European tombs, fights off cursed Vikings, and is hailed as the savior of Germany. Unthinkable, right? That's exactly what The Mummy does, only in reverse, and nobody blinked. This pattern didn't happen by accident. Hollywood grew up in a time of colonial thinking, where white superiority was the silent law of the land. Those stories still echo today, and they teach audiences, especially young ones, who deserves to lead, who deserves to save, and who should be feared, even when the location is Africa. The hero has a white face. Let's get one thing straight. Ancient Egypt was black, not in some maybe or partially way, but in its roots, culture, and people. Scholars, archaeologists, and African historians have confirmed it time and time again. But the problem? Hollywood doesn't care. The casting of white or Middle Eastern actors as Egyptians is erasure, plain and simple. The real Imhotep, for example, wasn't a horror villain. He was one of the earliest known architects and physicians in world history. A genius, not a monster. Yet in The Mummy, he's stripped of his brilliance and made into a creature of fear. And here's another uncomfortable truth. When Egyptian queens like Nefertiti or Cleopatra are portrayed, they're often given to white or light-skinned actresses, despite DNA and art clearly pointing to African ancestry. Why? Because in Hollywood's eyes, black doesn't sell as royalty, it sells as threat. This is more than casting, this is rewriting civilization. Now think about this. What does it say to young black viewers, seeing stories where people who look like them are never the hero, never the explorer, never the voice of reason, but always the danger? And what message does it give to white viewers, watching again and again as their image is tied to power, intellect, and survival? It creates the cycle of unconscious belief, and belief shapes the world. The white savior trope is one of the most persistent and dangerous tools in Hollywood. In The Mummy, Rick O'Connell, a foreigner, understands Egypt better than the locals, fights the ancient evil better than trained guardians, and becomes the love interest of the intelligent but dependent Evelyn. Together, they save a country that's not theirs, and they do it while most Egyptian characters either die, flee, or turn evil. Let's be real, that's not heroism, that's propaganda. The white savior complex is when white characters are made to look morally superior by helping or saving non-white characters, who are often helpless, chaotic, or broken. It creates an illusion that goodness, bravery, and intelligence are tied to whiteness, even in a film based in Africa. Starring ancient African characters, the camera always follows the outsider. The lighting favors him, the music uplifts him, the script glorifies him. He doesn't belong there, but the story tells us he's the only one who can fix it. Sound familiar? It's the same formula used in Avatar, The Last Samurai, Blood Diamond, Tarzan, and dozens more. A local world, a local struggle, but only the white man can be the bridge, the answer, the hope. It's exhausting, and it's wrong, so what do we do about it? First, awareness. You've already taken the first step by watching this video and asking questions. That matters. Because when audiences demand better, studios listen. Second, support films that break the mold. Movies like Black Panther showed what happens when black people are written as kings, warriors, scientists, and saviors because they are. Films like The Woman King and Hidden Figures prove that representation isn't just powerful, it's profitable. Third, call it out. Every time a movie uses the same tired formula, dark-skinned villains, white heroes don't stay silent. Leave a review, start a conversation. Ask the hard question: why do stories about ancient cultures always erase their people? Finally, tell your own stories. Whether you're a writer, artist, teacher, or just someone with a Camario voice matters. You can shape how the next generation sees the world, because Hollywood doesn't own history. We all do, and it's time we told the truth. Beautiful, powerful, and unapologetically black. If this made you think differently, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's never questioned the script. Let's change the narrative one story at a time. See you in the next video.